Michael Burry from The Big Short just released the 13F SEC filing for Scion Asset Management for Q2 of 2020. They reveal he did a lot of action since his last filing, so let's get into it and see what it shows about how he sees the economy playing out, so stay tuned. Hi everybody, welcome back to The Contrarian. My name's Logan. I really like to talk about overall success investing, as well as going against crowd thinking and just the insanity that crowds get into around certain things and how they almost always get issues wrong. So if you like these topics, just consider subscribing. I'll also make the disclaimer here that none of this is to be taken as investment advice, and I'm not an advisor, and you need to understand all the things you're doing with your money. First of all, Michael Burry is one of the investors who I like to take into account. He always has unique and detailed and very data-driven ways of looking at things, which I like to take into account as well. That being said, let's go right into his recent filing. So we can see from this, he's added a lot of calls. He did a lot of buying in the last quarter, we know. Now this is just updated, at the end of Q2, so this could be potentially outdated, but this is just looking back at what he did in the second quarter, so, ending in June. He did a lot of call buying, and this really says a lot about what he sees the economy doing in the near term. This reveals that Burry is betting heavily on the recent stimulus announcement and the potential for the last 2 quarters of the year to be much better than expected. However, it also reveals that he is willing to take the risk of purchasing options instead of shares. So he must think that in the short term these assets will do quite well, but it is also questionable in the long term as to what he sees these companies' stocks doing. This is what many other investors are currently thinking, such as Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, and other notable investors that I like to keep in mind. Burry, on the other hand, is willing to take short positions here and there. Very short term. He's also traded in and out of positions fairly quickly. So obviously, he's very short term optimistic about this economy. However, he is obviously more hesitant about long term outlook. Can see this just because he did not purchase shares in these companies. He purchased options. So he obviously thinks that these underlying assets will do quite well in the near term future, but because he's not purchasing shares in these cases, such as Google, Facebook, Goldman Sachs, Western Digital Corporation, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Las Vegas Sands, he's seeing a lot of potential downside in these companies as well. So that's, in my mind, why he's not purchasing shares in these companies. He kept GameStop pretty much as it was. He did add Bed Bath & Beyond. He did buy shares in that, so GameStop, Bed Bath & Beyond, Discovery, these could potentially be longer term positions he's thinking of holding. But in my mind, these option plays are much shorter term for him. And for comparison, here's the first quarter 2020 that he filed. He back then had a lot of shares in Jack in the Box, Facebook, Maxar Technologies, Boeing, Tailored Brands. He had some calls in Las Vegas Sands, Foot Locker, Corvo, Cracker Barrel. He has since then added a lot to these calls that he previously had, but another notable thing is that he's sold out all of his Jack in the Box shares. He's obviously sold out Tailored. They declared bankruptcy. He's sold out most of Maxar Technologies. He still has GameStop as his largest share held position. But yeah, he sold his shares in Jack in the Box, Facebook, Michaels. So I think it's important to take this into account. He obviously doesn't see the restaurant industry recovering, at least in the near future. And I definitely do agree with this. I think that, even though retail might do well in the last 2 quarters of this year, restaurants are probably, for the most part going to be very hard hit just by the lockdowns that we had and the fear that people have of this virus. They're going to be much more hesitant about going to eat out. So these are just my thoughts, but let me know what you think about this 13F filing. It does mean a lot, in my opinion. He did do a lot of buying action in the last quarter, but let me know what you think about it, and I hope to see you again.